Happy New Year. Well, wake you up. Please feel free to get some drink and some cookies, and we'll start here in just a moment, but I hope you enjoy. This is supposed to be a fireside chat. There's actually a fire. And I'm hoping we're not violating any rules. But I want to welcome all of you back and welcome you especially to 2015. We'll try again. Happy New Year. Look at the enthusiasm here. I love it. Let me begin as I have in the past. Thank you. Thank you for everything you have continued to do for the Hornet Nation. I want to take this opportunity, too, to thank you for not only being our colleagues, but our friends. My wife, Karen, is here, and my much better half, as always, you know. And I want to thank her for her love, and my love to her, and just thank you for believing, as we both do, in Emporia State and the community. So if you would, give my wife a round of applause. Now I get to go to dinner someplace I want to go, so. You'll notice to my left, and maybe many of you, you're right, a countdown clock. It's a reminder, as I mentioned earlier, that the next 10 years are going to be important for Emporia State University, and the clock is ticking. And we've got time, but we want to be sure we make the best use of our time in this place called the Hornet Nation. I feel very grateful in the opportunity and feel very blessed, frankly, to have the opportunity to be here and be part of this family at Emporia State University and this wonderful community called Emporia. A lot of good things are happening, and they're going to continue to happen with your continued leadership and your love. I want to share a true story, which I think will give you a sense of where I'm going to go today about vision. It goes like this. Eric knew the risks. Less than 1,200 people had ever conquered Mount Everest, and more than 175 had died trying. But he still climbed, not seeing the terrible drops or the fear on other faces. And we reached the summit. He didn't even see the view because Eric is blind. He proved it doesn't take sight to reach the top, it takes vision. Emporia State University has a vision, has a very bright future, and I really feel very fortunate to be with you today. So I started thinking and reflecting about 3 years. I mentioned earlier, it's hard to believe, but it's been 3 years, and I thought I'd share a little bit. In 2012, I still remember when my first day on the job, the Little Hornets came to visit. Now one of them's in first grade. He still calls me the mayor. Don't know why, but that's how we roll together. But he's gotten older, as have I. But in 2012, suppose I told you 3 years later, 3 years later, the Now and Forever campaign, the largest, most comprehensive campaign for our university, has raised $34.4 million of a $45 million campaign in 2.5 years of a 5 to 7 year goal. That's pretty exciting, folks, and give a round of applause. Governor asked, why do we call it Now and Forever? I said, the way things are going, I'm going to need money now and forever. But we are going to need resources, and I want to share with you just some things about who'd have thought 3 years later, in 2015, all 50 states plus Canada and China have participated in our Now and Forever campaign. Lyon County, and I want to thank all of you for being part of this. Lyon County represents 42% of all the giving. Folks, that's amazing, the hearts we have in our area and our community. Who'd have thought some years ago that the last 5 semesters, and this one looks very promising as well, we've had increased enrollments in undergraduates and graduate students. U.S. News and World Report recognized us number 11th for online graduate education. Started off here only 40%, now 100% of our campus is wireless. Paul Edwards, I had a chance to see Paul, he's the creator of Corky, turned 100. I said, Paul, how'd you do it? He goes, I quit driving. Who would have thought that a renowned author like James Patterson would double already his commitments to scholarship to $96,000 for the Teachers College? Who'd have thought that someone would give us a $500,000 cash gift to endow a professor of music? Who would have thought that the things that we do each and every day makes a difference in our alums and their well-being? Classified Assembly moved to university support. Capital Federal Bank doubled their commitment of $80,000 to our business school. A new strategic plan. Spouse Independent Program, 54 individuals as of this fall participating. Who would have thought that the legislature and the governor would have given us $250,000 additionally to create a master's in nursing informatics? Who also would have thought that the governor and legislators last year would have given us an additional $1 million a year for an honors college? That this fall, 755 first-year students, huge increase from 2012. Graduate school, congratulations, our largest enrollment of 2190 this fall. Everyone's thinking about themselves differently. Even I was at a division, or NCAA Division II meeting, and they're branding themselves and thinking about what they need to look like in their next 10 years as well, moving from I choose Division II with make it yours. We need to make it ours as well. Who'd have thought we'd renovate Singular and Tressler? Who would have thought that the residence halls would be full, and right now we're making plans to build and replace residence halls on our campus? Who'd have thought that finally a dream on Main Street that they break ground and something would be built as part of that black and gold district? Who would have thought that I'm not surprised that the National Study on Student Engagement recognizes that we are significantly higher than other schools in our student-faculty interactions, and I thank you for those interactions. Glendale Corporation, $100,000 to our engraving arts. Learning Commons and the library, Kramer King, and more. Cost of college sports recognized Emporia State University as the most efficient program among the MIAA. Undergraduate retention continues to go forward. New master plans. Who would have thought that you'd be driving up and down the highway and you see a billboard, I'm a Hornet? Or you see a TV ad, or hear a radio, and people are now talking about Emporia State University. Who would have thought that you'd actually answer the phone, it's a great day to be a Hornet. A new creative writing center. ACT class profile. Who would have thought our three most competitive schools now for Emporia State University in terms of incoming new students in order: Kansas State, University of Kansas, and Wichita State. We're bringing in very good students. Nursing, 14th among all nursing programs, both nursing and our online masters in education, #1 in the state. Who thought it would be possible for a conversation in the hallway that we create a new master's degree in forensics? A new center for leadership and ethics of $750,000. New plan for our future. Newman Regional Health partners with Emporia State University. Now all newborns get a Corky Cruise t-shirt. And I like giving that little shirt. But when I went there, I asked the parents, I said, this is your 5th? They said, yes. Any questions you may have for me? I said, no. I said, sure, there's nothing else you'd like to ask me? No. And then finally, the mother said, how about a scholarship? I wonder who had the drugs. Kansas Leadership Center and our partnership has, in many ways, given us opportunities to look at our general education, School of Library Information Honors, and more. We dedicated a Fallen Educators Memorial with the National Teachers Hall of Fame. Our partnerships with the Chamber, Regional Development Association, Convention Visitors, Main Street, Newman Regional Health, Emporia School, Flint Hills, United Way, and more continue to build. Who would have thought that Lyon County and the city of Emporia, after 152 years, would develop a proclamation recognizing this as a university community and thinking now of ways to literally invest in the future of Emporia State University. And maybe more importantly, who'd have thought Silent Joe would be silent no more? Lots of good things are happening at Emporia State University. It's the power of belief. I believe in this place. I believe in you. I believe in this community. we have to continue to believe in. It's not an exhausted list. There are many other examples of things that we in this room have done and accomplished these past years. It's an impressive list. What's most impressive is we can do it in the next 10 years, together. I think it's going to be important for us to focus on a number of things, and I know those of you who understand focus will understand that it really means focusing on the future in a different way. We've got some challenges ahead. Everyone does. As you may know, and I don't want you to forget, but I'll have some folks come up, it is time for the Higher Learning Commission to stop by. We want to make that a good visit, March 23 to 25. I'll talk a little bit about the Kansas legislature and focusing on what that's going to look like. We have a campus and the university strategic plan and our continued work on our Now and Forever campaign. Again, folks, the clock is ticking. First, on the legislative session, as you may have heard, there's a shortfall. It's supposed to be funny. Big surprise, do the math. But nonetheless, as you all know, I've been here long enough to tell you that I am very optimistic. The Kansas Board of Regents believes in higher education. We have wonderful people. More importantly, as you may or may not know, they really believe in Emporia State University. And I think they'll go the extra mile. Because part of the role for everyone in this room is not just speaking from here, but speaking from here. We've got to have an emotional connection with our legislators and tell them the importance and the differences that we're making. I believe that Governor Sam Brownback believes in higher education and believes in Emporia State University. There were no allotments made for higher education, which means this semester we didn't get cut. In the next 2 years, we'll see a little decrease, but then a double of that increase. And so we're going to actually be net gain in the next couple of years of a couple $100,000. Now, of course, it still requires something called the legislative approval, but I think it says a great deal about what the governor says and his belief in what we're doing. Our legislators believe in our institution. We have our Senator Jeff Longbine, Speaker Pro Tem Peggy Mass, Representative Hill, Representative Highland. We've even worked together with our community in developing sort of a legislative opportunities for Emporia, Lyon County that articulates our importance. Let me tell you the questions that I get at legislators. And by the way, if you'd like to ever go up one time or other, let me know. It's always fun. I'd love to take you to the testimony, always known as the Inquisition. But no, actually, I'll tell you, there are wonderful people who care. Remember, we've elected folks to represent us, but they need to hear what we have to say. A couple questions that they're going to continue to ask it legislatively, and we all together need to be able to answer. How does our degrees lead to jobs or professional and graduate education? How does what we do impact our economy in a positive way? How do we impact retention and graduation? We're going to have to do a better job there. We know that. We've got to get students to the finish line in a timely manner. How do we partner with K-12, community colleges, technical schools? We've done work with Collaborate, an annual report from all of us. We need to continue to show those things. We need to find ways to continue to be distinctive, because that's one of the questions I have. Help us understand why we would invest in your distinctive idea called Emporia State University. Lots of discussions right now about tuition, general fund, performance-based modeling, Common Core. Legislators have just a few things on their plate. And our role, I think, is to help them continue to feel an emotion to Emporia State University. Next thing, and you've heard some if you were earlier about our focus on a campus master plan and a strategic plan. We've already completed some work, so pardon our dust. You'll see some signs. Kramer, Plum, King, Science, Library, Singular Trussler, Albert Taylor Hall finally got a makeover. Some of you were wondering how that got moved up the list. When the president's sitting at commencement and a piece of the ceiling falls on his lap, it moves up the list. In progress is Visser, Science, Roosevelt, Ross Reservation, more on the library, Sauter Alumni Center. Things are happening at Emporia State University, and people are noticing it. And if you haven't picked up, people in the community are noticing as well. And they're picking up, and we are in many ways being a leader, helping us move forward in different ways. It's going to be an exciting time to see what it's going to look like in 10 years. If I close my eyes, I can see it. Our strategic plan, it's It's really focused around our ability to look at our strengths. It is about change. Things are going to be different. I'd love to tell you it's going to be the status quo, but that doesn't hunt anymore. We're going to have to find ways of doing things differently, looking outside the box a bit. And as you know, we have lots of information. Our values haven't changed with excellence, respect, responsibility, and service. We have a vision of changing lives and trying to make a difference in our communities, a mission focused on lifelong learning, rewarding careers and leadership. 4 goals, pretty simple. Distinctive initiatives, things that we can do that really help our community, how we enrich the students' lives, leadership and practice, competitive ways that we can work in our state, looking at KBOR, Foresight 2020, and a culture of change and innovation. Some exciting types of things. What I like about the plan is outside of 4 goals, we have 18 objectives. Pretty simple, making it simple. About 45 strategies. What's most important to understand in our strategies is that we need to be flexible. Think of a slinky. We need to be flexible. And if in 6 months or a year we decide something needs to change in our plan, we'll change it. Because that's what's important, is our ability to respond and adapt to things that are happening. You'll see performance indicators. You'll even see folks that have a lead responsibility. People are going to lead the charge, but all of us will be a part of it. Cabinet Council, shared governance, lots of folks will be part of this. And you'll see mid-year and annual updates of what we're doing at Emporia State University. Another area I think of focus is going to be on our Higher Learning Commission. As you may know, we're going to have visitors soon. We want to be sure that we do everything. And by the way, if you haven't gone out and looked at the 200-page report, please do. It's exciting reading. How many of you have gone through dissertations? Some of you have. How many of you have read other people's dissertations? Yeah, this is that exciting. I want you to go out and look because I think all of us need to be prepared. We need to understand what the Higher Learning Commission is, the criteria, the self-study, lots of things on Skybox. Shelley, Kathy, Ken, Joanne, Diana, thank you for your leadership on the criteria. It's going to be very important. I'm now going to ask our provost, David Cordle, and our vice president, Jim Williams, to come forward and just share a more perspective regarding the Higher Learning Commission and the upcoming visit. Let's give them a round of applause. That would be both of you. Good to be the boss.
We didn't realize we had the chairs.
It's a fireside chat. There's even a fire.
Oh, there you go. You might look at us and see the resemblance of Abbott and Costello. At this point in the
Not till now.
this point in the study process, we might ask each other who's on first, what's on second, etc. But we wanted to give you a brief update and kind of a summary of what's going on and how we will be progressing this semester. It's hard to believe, but 36 months ago, we started this process, and it seemed like we had forever until we had to worry about the visit. Why do we worry about these visits? Well, there's 6 accrediting agencies across the United States, and by this evaluation, it basically identifies that the institution has a level of credibility with its degrees and its student learning, but equally important, allows us to receive all federal dollars that help us operate and provide opportunities for our students. We are accredited by the Higher Learning Commission, which is based out of Chicago, and in that accreditation process, they expect 2 things. 1, a self-study, and another, an overview of your compliance activities. In other words, are we meeting the federal guidelines for our financial aid distribution, the management of our resource funds, those different types of things. And so today, we can announce that as of this morning, the self-study report was shipped off, which is a significant accomplishment. That's been 36 months of reflecting on 10 years worth of effort at the university, the processes we've gone through to identify our student learning outcomes, the changes that we've made as an institution, both in the classroom, outside of the classroom, the management of our resources, and really has been an opportunity for us as a campus to reflect on the positive things that we've been doing day in and day out for the last 10 years. It's also given us some thought on what are some of our opportunities as we look forward to the future. So again, I want to thank everybody that's participated in authoring that study. It is available on the website, and again, you're welcome to go through and read it in its entirety. However, beginning very soon, we will be sending out campus communications with summaries of each of the 5 chapters. So in case you're not interested in reading the whole riveting document, you can get a one-pager that summarizes the areas of importance under each of the criterion that David will talk about. That'll happen over the next few weeks. We debated as a steering committee and have decided and been fortunate to secure some resources and some expertise off the campus to do a mock study, a mock visit. And so March 1st to the 3rd, we will have an individual on campus that will coordinate a mock visit. And in that process, we'll be pulling together the teams of ESU folks that are in, the self-study team might be interested in meeting with and discussing the report and giving us a sense of what type of questions might be there, what type of depth of further evidence they might be looking for, but also kind of give us a test run. So we've got a couple of weeks to enhance where we might want to tweak a few things. Then, as we've learned, on March 23rd, they will arrive, we'll begin the process. There'll be an itinerary of who they're meeting with, where they're meeting, the different types of things they're interested in. This will flow through to March 25th. Then shortly after that, there'll be some communication with the campus. And in about 2 months or so, we will receive the final written notification on how the campus is done.
Thank you, Jim. I just have 2 more topics related to HLC that I want to very briefly touch on. The first is, let's visit for just a moment those 5 criteria for accreditation that HLC sets in front of us. And what we have to do with our self-study and with this visit is to demonstrate with evidence that we have met those 5 criteria. Here's what they are. First criteria is mission. Is our mission clear? Do we articulate it publicly, and does it guide what we do? That's what we have to demonstrate. Second criterion has to do with integrity and ethics, and the basic question there is our conduct responsible? Do we do things the right way? Third criterion has to do with teaching and learning. Now the question here is, do we provide high-quality education wherever we deliver it and however we deliver it? That's what we have to demonstrate. Fourth criterion, the evaluation and improvement of our teaching and learning. Here what we have to demonstrate is that we assess the quality of our programs and we use the results of that assessment to make the programs better. That's it. The fifth and final criterion is one that's called institutional effectiveness. Now this is kind of a grab bag category. Here we have to demonstrate that we have adequate resources, adequate structures, and adequate processes to carry out our mission and that we plan for the future. So that in just a little nutshell is what we have to demonstrate to HLC in order to have our accreditation renewed. Now the last thing I want to briefly touch on is I want to emphasize the team effort nature of this. Some of that is already evident if you look at the self-study, because I couldn't even tell you the number of folks who have contributed in a small way or in a large way to the writing of that self-study. But for now, the more important thing is between now and the end of this visit on March 25th, it remains a team effort. There are 3 things I want to challenge you to do to be a member of that team. First thing I want to challenge you to do, make sure you have a basic understanding of ESU's mission as expressed in the old strategic plan, not the new one, the old one the one that's called Engaging Excellence, 2009 to 2014. Now, why the old one? Well, you see, this visit is about what we have already done, not what we're getting ready to do. So take a look at that mission statement. Absorb the basic message there. Not that you have to memorize the words, but know what it says about us as an institution. All right, here's the second thing as a team member you need to do. When we send out these communications that Jim referred to, one about each of the criteria, everyone here needs to have just a basic understanding of what these 5 criteria are and how we meet them. That's going to be the purpose of these communications we send out. And finally, some of you will be asked to participate in specific meetings as a part of the visit, the 23rd through the 25th of March. So be prepared for that possibility. You may be tapped and said, we want you to be here for this particular meeting because you have knowledge of what we do in this area that might be useful when the time comes around. So that basically is our summary. Thank you everyone who has participated up to this point. Let's be sure that we are ready for this visit when it rolls around 2 months from now. And I can guarantee you, after we finish a successful visit, there will be many happy dances done on this campus. Thank you very much.
I focus on 10 because I want you to recognize, and the community to recognize, that we're really trying to align things together. Our strategic plan, our campus plan, our accreditation, they overlap one another, and there's some synergy between them. So I talk about focus. Let's focus on the best interests for each other. Let's provide the very best service to one another. Let's do it with a smile. Let's have some fun. Fun is good. Recently, we had a retreat with our senior leadership at the Kansas Leadership Center, and we all took back something that's really important, which I think all of us need to recognize in the room today, is that leadership is mobilizing individuals to do difficult work. That's adaptive work. Mobilizing individuals to do difficult challenges. That we will have, as all institutions will have. I think we have to also look at ourselves in terms of our current and our desired state as an institution. What's the current state in 2015? What do we desire to look like in 2025? There's always a gap between the two, current and desired. This will surprise you. It's usually related to resources. But a lot of it's about attitude and our ability to move forward and to be optimistic about that future. Give you some examples of opportunity, as we mentioned earlier about a master's in forensics. It will identify the resources for us to move forward with renovations, equipment, and new lines. Who would have thought that when you brought up an idea about online math, a master's degree, we'd be able to find resources through private gift to be the catalyst to kick that off and create the opportunity for us in the future. We have to be adaptive in our future and develop a culture. You'll hear more about technical types of things and adaptive. I remember one day we were sitting there talking about tactical types of things and things we can do, and I was kind of smiling and said, well, why can't we do this? And they said, well, it's our policy. I said, but there are policies. So we sat and talked about that a little bit more and said, what would it require? And they start writing some things down. I said, that requires presidential approval. I said, I'm here. I signed, approved, dated, and we move on. We can make things pretty simple if we want to. We have to adapt. I'm also going to ask that we try to design experiments to facilitate certain types of change. We have to try stuff. We have to be creative. And I realize not always will it be successful, but we want to be a place that others recognize as a place that's willing. We're going to establish a little committee called the Adaptive Challenge. They're going to get a hall pass every month, and for a day they're going to go someplace, brainstorm, come up with ideas of what are the challenges that are facing or opportunities we may have at Emporia State University to share with our community. I want us to be sure we continue the good work on being adaptive. Now let's pretend it's 2025. I'll have even less hair. Suppose I then asked you in 10 years, what would we be? Let's think about what would be included on that list that we as a group have done in the next 10 years. Let's think about what we can do today, identifying the challenges and how we'll mobilize each other so we can reflect on another impressive list of accomplishments in the next 10 years at Emporia State University. The clock is ticking. Those know I'm an optimist and a futurist. I think about the future all the time, and I'm reminded of a quote, futurist Joel Barker. Vision without action is just a dream. Action without vision just passes the time. Vision and action can change the world. Our vision as an institution is to change lives for the common good and to make a difference. I know that we can do that. My name is Michael Shonrock, and I'm a Hornet. Thank you. Happy New Year. Keep eating.